Before we begin, thank you very much to a small convoy the size of a large convoy for pitching in on Ko-fi. I have no idea what size that is now. Are we starting with a convoy that is supposed to be small, but we're making it large? So are we talking like a legend size convoy that is now the size of like a masterpiece convoy? Sounds like an upscale knockoff, but you do you. I have no idea where these scales are going now, but thank you very much for the contribution. Thank you for pitching in. All the support helps out. Keep the channel going. Keep the free content coming every single day. We're going to take a break from Transformers today because there is so much going on in the realm of Kamen Rider that I have to go over to my tokusatsu fixation, and we need to discuss this. So, you're looking at a picture of Kamen Rider Kiva because that's where I started my journey with Kamen Rider. Been at this a while. Been getting people into this franchise since the Deca Driver came out. Still to this day, one of my most viewed videos of all time. And you know what? It's been a fun ride. I've seen the ups and downs. I have myself have been in and out of the franchise for a few reasons, but right now, if you love tokusatsu, it's hard not to be on Kamen Rider's side at the moment because, good lord, we are feasting. Like 2025 and now 2026 is just like the year of Kamen Rider in the US, in the West in general. But I wanted to kind of take a look at this because I genuinely feel like things are underway and things are like starting to breach containment to the point where I feel like we're on the verge of like a Kamen Rider renaissance in the West. And as someone who's been observing this franchise for so long, yeah, it's been interesting. So before we get into what's going on right now, we need to discuss a little bit of where we came from. So let's kind of go over the original Western push into Kamen Rider, just for the people who are getting into this now in the last year or so. And I guess there's the last few months for most people. And I'm just going to tell you how much of a mess it was to get to where we are right now. So once upon a time, Toei started to discover that there is an interest in Kamen Rider in the West. So they decided, let's actually make some attempts at this. Shout Factory, who was doing the Super Sentai DVDs, capitalizing on, people's interest in what Power Rangers was like before it was imported over, started doing the same with Kamen Rider. And they got a few series licensed here and there, but it felt weirdly random and sporadic. Kamen Rider Kuga, for instance, makes sense. It's the first Heisei Kamen Rider series from the year 2000. But then they jumped to Ryuki. Now, there is a reason why they went to Ryuki. It makes sense if you think they're adapting the one that Dragon Knight was based on. There's better reasons, and we'll get to that once we get into like how much of a mess this became. But yeah, very sporadic, weird releases, weirdly chosen. Like, they didn't choose any, like, particularly bad series, but very obvious things, like, at the time, Futo PI was coming out, the Kamen Rider double anime on Crunchyroll, subtitle and all, and they didn't bring over Kamen Rider Double, which was an interesting take. And in general, the most popular Rider series from that era, like Double and Den-O, didn't make the cut, which kind of confused us at the time. Now, if you wanted to see something like that, you had to go to Toei's official YouTube channel, which was their attempt at bringing Kamen Rider to a Western audience. You had basically every Heisei Rider series represented. You had them English subtitles, and absolutely free to watch on YouTube. Few problems with this. They only gave you 2 of each episode. It was basically like a sampler platter of Kamen Rider. There was no full series to be had. It was literally just individual episodes, which was frustrating. Also, the subtitles were generally terrible. Even if ones were accurate, they were usually mistimed. The ones I remember, like decades, are like seconds off from where they need to line up with the dialogue, which is extremely distracting and makes it very hard to enjoy. And also, I'm just gonna flat out say it here because it's always bugged me. The thumbnails are horrible. They look super cheap. They look like you just have paid an intern $50 to do them in over a weekend. Please, please. Good thumbnail design. It's all I'm asking for. I know I don't put out the greatest thumbnails, but at least they look consistent and they're very clear with their info. So it's these poor subtitles, which is the reason why we lost all the fan subs, by the way, or at least the more public fan subs, because a lot of people talked about Fight Club, for lack of better phrasing, and Fight Club got shut down. So that was a whole mess that pissed off the entire fandom. Oh, let's throw a little bit more fire on this, right? Let's throw a little bit more fuel on the fire. So on top of the fact that we did get DVD releases, we also had a lot of these shows showing up on Tubi, which is great because Tubi is a free service for streaming. You don't even need to sign up. You can just go to their site, search Kamen Rider, and watch shows right now. The trick was they were partnered with Shout Factory, meaning that the stuff that Shout Factory was releasing on DVD and Blu-ray at the time came out on Tubi at the exact same time for free, which kind of undermines the whole selling it on Blu-ray thing to gauge interest, doesn't it? So a lot of us kind of felt cheated by that too. That was a very, very rough way of handling the situation. And then there is the other companies involved. See, it wasn't just that Toei was trying to put out stuff themselves, Shout Factory was trying to put out stuff themselves. They also had to compete with other companies trying to get in on it as well. One being Toku HD, who licensed Kamen Rider Agito after Shout Factory licensed Kuga to kind of one-up them and keep them from releasing a consistent set. They did the exact same thing after Shout Factory licensed Ryuki. Toku HD licensed Fies. And this seemed to be a very shady fly-by-night company. They do not exist anymore. You can still see the fan subs that they created. Not that you want to. Just by showing you one example of how badly done they were. Mistranslations, misspellings, very clunky, very awkward to read. Extremely poor, low quality, really just trying to just capitalize on what Shout Factory was putting actual effort into. So Toei didn't care. That was the problem with their first run. They didn't care how good the subtitles were on their own YouTube videos. They didn't care who was licensing Kamen Rider. And they didn't care how good the quality was when it got released. All they cared about was just putting it out there as cheap and quick as possible to try and capitalize on Kamen Rider's growing interest in the US. And it backfired. This incredibly sloppy presentation where it really felt like everything was just kind of getting thrown in different directions just made the entire thing look bad and gave everyone this really poor impression of the franchise. The one upside was we had actual fans on our side. So in partnership with Toei, we had Team Kamen Rider, or Team Rider US, and they were in charge of like fan interaction. They were the ones really pushing for toys to get to the US market a lot easier. They're the reasons why you might have found like Kamen Rider belts at GameStop. I bought the Nadeshiko belt at a GameStop. Did I want the Nadeshiko belt? No. But I also just wanted to show, like, I wanted to be able to say, hey, I bought a Kamen Rider belt in person at a US store, and that was kind of cool. Till you got the Nadeshiko belt home and realized it only did one thing. And then it's not as cool anymore. Certainly not as cool as the CSMs and the super best that other people found. No, I find the leftovers. But this group eventually just stopped talking. They used to do fan streams where they could interact with people. Stopped doing that. They used to do special movie event streams. Didn't do that anymore. No, they just kind of became less like just a mindless promotion thing for whatever new product was available. And that just comes down to Bandai of America getting involved. So the source on this is legit. He's been in the fandom for a long time. He kind of knows this stuff. He knows people. And this is just kind of what's been going around for a long time now. For years now, there's been a top-level Japanese executive, Bandai of America, who has had a personal grudge against Toei. After a restructure, he was put in charge of Team Kamen Rider late last year and canceled nearly all public-facing events and marketing for Kamen Rider merch. So basically, a guy from Bandai of America who just did not like Toei completely sabotaged all of the good efforts to get Kamen Rider in the West, and only the bad ones survived. So, after like this whole 8-minute explanation of exactly how we've gotten to this point, I want you to realize how far this franchise has had to climb back up to the point where it's at today. This was a miserable experience as someone who loved Kamen Rider in the West, watching people who really didn't care just throwing things about and just screaming about why is it being done this badly. You know what's happening in the meantime while all these efforts are in their death throes? Tsuburaya is showing them how it's done. They are clowning Toei in this department. At the same time, they are doing Ultraman in the West. And they're actually doing it in a very smart way. They are simulcasting the show. They are doing simultaneous. When it airs in Japan, it airs in the US on their YouTube channel for free, full English subtitles, and in some cases, full English dub. You can listen to Johnny Young Bosch, one of the longest tenured Power Rangers, as the voice of Ultraman Blazar, and it's kind of incredible. It's super cool that we actually got this level of commitment from that company, and to this day, new Ultraman episodes premiere on the YouTube channel. And Tsuburaya has done a fantastic job, and you've seen the fantastic job. Ultraman gets movies on Netflix now. They get toys in Walmart, which Kamen Riders never managed to do. They did a live stage show at, I think, Mall of America, I want to say. Like the kind that they usually put on in Japan, but they did it here in America. That's wild. It's absolutely wild to me that we got to that point. And you can see by the subscriber numbers, 3 million? This got a reaction. This was a response. So Ultraman did such a good job in the West, it just made everything happening to Kamen Rider look even worse. So, we get to this point. It's been a few years since this all went down. And now it seems like Toei is genuinely putting its best foot forward. They've learned from Tsuburaya's example. Today, we're looking at Kamen Rider Zets, which I think is a really good show. I know some people have problems with the pacing. I happen to think it does a fairly good job with the pacing. I really like what it's doing. But this show is done specifically to appeal to the West. Not only is it simulcast with English subs and good English subs, you also get the archives available. I think on the do they still expire on the Tsuburaya channel, the Ultraman episodes? Last I looked, they're up for like 2 weeks and then they're gone. But I don't know if they still do that or not. But these are still up. You can still watch the entirety of Zets right now, which is cool. But the show itself is designed specifically to appeal to the West, using themes like dreams that are universally understood and concepts that are universally cool to watch, like secret agents. So it's a story and a writer that is designed to appeal to any audience, really. And the throwback designs of Zets to kind of homage the original Kamen Rider also connects the past and brings awareness to that, to a new audience. It's a very, very well thought out series. At the same time, over on Crunchyroll, we've got TJOmega Wants to Be a Kamen Rider. And this is actually, again, a really strong effort. It's getting dubbed. Futo PI never got a dub, which is what held it back. TJOmega Wants to Be a Kamen Rider is getting a dub. It's a really good dub, and it's a really, really good show, by the way. So right now, Kamen Rider fans in the West, feasting. We have 2 really good shows at the same time. Now, with Zets, it's hard to tell how good it's actually doing. You see, episode 1 there has over 100,000 views, but that's on the archive version. Because they premiere these as live streams and repeat the episode for 2 days in a row, it's actually really hard to tell how many people are actually watching this show as it comes out. But it seems like it's doing well enough. I mean, they haven't canceled it. They're still going. I'm sure that's just like they're committed to getting the whole thing out. But it's a marked improvement. And more importantly, it's raising awareness of the franchise. Even if you're not vibing with Zets, you have to admit so many more people know what a Kamen Rider is now because this is readily available. You know, if it's not Zets coming up on their YouTube feed, it's TJOmega coming up in Crunchyroll as a suggestion. Either way, people are discovering the Kamen Rider franchise who otherwise never saw it before. And I know this because my YouTube feed has been inundated with this. There is this huge surge right now in reaction channels that are just going on about all of these different Kamen Rider compilations and history videos. They are watching compilations of main Rider henshins, main Rider finishers, main Rider final forms, secondary Rider henshins, tertiary Rider henshins, special movie forms, all the female Riders, all the theme songs. You name it. Like, all of these reaction channels are tapping Kamen Rider at the same time. VTuber and normal tuber alike. And it's wild to see so many people. The reactions are great too, by the way. The tastes are so different. I keep going like, someone want to like Agito, please? Please? But all these different reaction channels, and like, reaction content is so huge on YouTube right now. Even I'm trying to figure out how to work reaction stuff into my content flow without being too disruptive. I'm almost there. Give me a little bit. We might be doing something fun soon. But it's just an example of, like, there's a lot of people suddenly getting on board with this franchise who never knew about it before. And yeah, and then there's things like this. Influencers like Iron Mouse, who have been talking Kamen Rider for years, are now way into it again because of the Western push. This is her meeting Kamen Rider Zets. This happened at New York Comic Con. There was a huge display, not only for Zets, but the entirety of the history of the franchise. Now, you can see the display in the back showing the riders and the belts from over the years. This was at a major convention. You know, they had a full panel there. They had a meet and greet with Zets. You know, the producers there. Like, it's huge. It's huge. Toei is actually putting tremendous effort into this in order to raise the awareness and get influencers behind the franchise. But even Iron Mouse does not, even one of the most popular Twitch streamers there are, you still aren't hitting that mainstream. You still are not hitting what you really need to hit to spread this everywhere. But, like I said, the dam is breaching. We need to discuss Danny Motta. I mentioned Danny Motta in one of my Toy Sember videos, because I feel like my Dash Rendar Black Series figure looks more like him than it does Dash Rendar. But a lot of people were surprised I would even mention the guy. Yeah, I like his work. They're funny videos, and he actually knows what he's talking about. I got hooked on him from his Owl House videos, and I watch him here and there from time to time, and he's going through She-Ra right now, which is really good. But point being, look at the subscriber numbers on his TikTok. Look at how many followers, 2.8 million. He's got 1.5 million on YouTube, by the way. This is enormous. This is genuinely enormous. That is the kind of numbers you need to, like, bring serious awareness. And something that I've been shocked by, he's actually been picking up Kamen Rider. So you see 01's head there? Look below it, because that is a video Danny did of 01's henshin sequence. And just going off on, like, how, like, incredible it is. Just visually amazing and awesome. Even comparing it to just how lame some of the modern Power Ranger transformation sequences are. Really, really loved it. To the point where the video above it, that is him going and watching the first episode of Kamen Rider 01, and he loved it. He absolutely loved it. To have him backing Kamen Rider to almost 3 million people is an enormous deal. And you look at the video, look at the numbers on the Henshin video reaction. You are hard pressed to go through the front page of his TikTok and see a video that has that many views. It's very few and far between outside of like the pinned ones at the top. This is hitting a level of awareness we have not seen before. This is going to go so far. And guess what? It's still going in all the other places that it used to. Like all like the DVD stuff and the toys, it's coming back around. Right now, there are pre-orders out. Not only can you still get a lot of the Shout Factory stuff on Amazon very readily, but you also have things like the Kamen Rider trilogy of Shin, J, and Zedo are coming back to Blu-ray that you can order right now. And up for pre-order from Media Blasters. Oh yeah, another company is licensing Kamen Rider now, by the way. They're doing the Kamen Rider dyad of Kamen Rider the First and Kamen Rider the Next. So if you never got to see those movies, those are up for pre-order right now. I know a lot of work went into them. I know some of the people who did work on these releases. They are very passionate about it. They're very excited that this release is happening. So absolutely go support that if you want to support Rider in the West. They've got a lot more that they want to do, but it all depends on how successful this stuff is. Yeah, and it's just a fascinating little chunk of Kamen Rider history. And then here's the other factor. The toys. I can just go to Amazon right now and buy a Zet's driver. I already have a Zet's driver, but you can just buy one for like 70 shipped right now. I don't even know if tariffs are involved in that. It's just here. And you can just have it right now, which is wild to me. I remember the days. You new fans who've been getting on board because of this sudden surge in awareness, you don't know. You don't know what it was like to be up at 3 in the morning on the front page of CS Toys because that is when they restocked all their new Kamen Rider items in their shop. You don't know what it was like trying to get the O medals from Kamen Rider O's when they sold out in like 20 seconds. Because this was a small shop, but it was the only shop that told you the exact time they were actually posting them. The big shops, HLJ and all that, it's the Wild West. You had, like, I remember me and Aaron from the TFW podcast, I still do. We would sit there and figure out ways of trimming literal seconds off of our time, trying to just get in as fast as possible because these things sold out so quickly. Those days are gone. It's readily available. I mean, like I have my my weapon from Zet's because Big Bad Toy Stores had it. You know, I remember being sponsored by Big Bad and having to like coach them on what to get for Kamen Rider because they weren't stocking it at the time. And now it's just there. Jeez, even stuff from old series, like there's X-Aid Gash Outs I can go back and get now. It's wild. I genuinely think that we are in this period of like, it's about to explode. You know, just because so many people are suddenly getting in on it, it's filling up a YouTube algorithm and it's feeding to people. The fact that all of these, even the low subscriber channels and low view videos, even those are making it into my feed. So I know it's getting spread around. And the more it spreads and the more it gets to bigger content creators like Danny. If Danny did a YouTube video for Kamen Rider 01, you have any idea the numbers that Tubi would have to deal with in new viewers? We're right there. It's close. So if you're a fan, keep an eye out. We're going to have a lot more people in this fandom soon. And welcome them with open arms. Don't be that toxic gatekeeper. We want this. We want Kamen Rider to do well so we can keep getting more of it over here. But those are the thoughts of the day. I know it's not my usual topic. The algorithm hates when I don't do Transformers, but it's what's on my mind. So there you go. That's what's going through my head. And thank you very much for listening to it. So I will be back to Transformers tomorrow. I will see you then.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.